So I've been using Grok and ChatGPT extensively for writing feedback on my novels, for my work, my poetry, and everything else. And I'm tempted to say that yeah, it is really quite a useful tool, and that I've heard people say on the internet that AI is the equivalent to the humanities for what calculators are to mathematics and the sciences. And yeah, I do sort of grant you that possibly. And we've of course been using AI for longer than ChatGPT and Grok in the humanities. We've of course had spell checking devices and grammar checkers for ages and ages, and this just seems to be like the next logical step in that technology going forward. And yeah, I think it very often can provide very useful feedback. But I mean, there are flaws with it. It's not a perfect thing at all, I don't think. And sometimes I've entered work into Grok in particular, and Grok has given me uh, very positive feedback sometimes, and saying something's publishable or very nearly publishable with minor polishing and so on. And yeah, and then I've entered the same piece of work into Grok at a later date, and it's told me that it's not publishable and that it needs major revision. So I don't really know what to think. I'm tempted to say that very often the modus operandi of these online LLM AIs is just to keep you coming back to it and to keep you clicking on their websites, on the websites that they're on, and to get their traffic up and to keep their traffic up. And I do get that on a level, they may be trying to do this by offering a very useful service to people that benefits their work greatly and does provide honest, useful feedback on, say, writing fiction and so on. But I'm often tempted to say with Grok, perhaps in particular, that perhaps it provides overly flattering feedback that doesn't really reflect, say, the publishability of something, and that it's just trying to flatter you in order to sort of mollify your ego and to keep you coming back for this reason. That it keeps saying nice things about your work, so you'll keep going back to get that sort of nice dopamine hit of that we get with compliments on our work, right? So yeah, I don't think it's, oh, I don't know, because it spots mistakes well. It doesn't get everything though. I mean, I've been entering my work into Grok this morning, and Grok was telling me again it's absolutely publishable. This is the sort of thing that makes the grade in Indian traditional publishing, and so on and so forth. And then I go back through the work and I reread it, and I find some obvious like typos and things like this, which I think it really should have picked up on. And yeah, it's not a perfect tool by any stretch of the imagination. It's not going to give you, possibly reliable feedback on every single conceivable level. And I think there are very useful tools out there. I think Grammarly is a particularly useful tool for checking grammar mistakes and syntax errors and these sorts of things, and spelling mistakes as well, obviously. And yeah, things like that. And Grok has all those tools built into it, and is kind of an extension of that sort of software. And I do think, yeah, on a level, it's very useful, and it very often does spot areas for improvement in writing, and it very often does spot things like info dumping. It's really rather good at spotting that, and tone inconsistencies and pacing inconsistencies and stuff like that, which Grammarly doesn't pick up on. And yeah, I think these are tools that have really a great deal of potential and could be something really highly beneficial for writers and people in the humanities, and for that matter people in the sciences and people writing code and all these sorts of things that it's really quite good at. But I don't know if it's quite there yet, and I don't think it's really necessarily a substitute for human writers and readers and editors and people who have a sophisticated understanding of writing and language and so on, and who've spent many years building up expertise by reading, I mean, thousands of books in very many cases, often with editors and people like that, and they're very, very adroit at picking up on mistakes made in writing. And I don't think it's necessarily quite as good as human editors. I don't think it's quite going to supplant them just yet. But yeah, to get the basics down with a piece of writing, I think it is an incredibly useful tool. And I don't think there should be any shame attached to writers using AI for gaining feedback. I think if you're using AI's own writing to supplement your writing in any way. I think if you're just copying and pasting from what AI writes into your own work, I think you're sort of cheating yourself, and that is sort of like plagiarism from an online bit of software. And I don't really agree with that so much. But yeah, for gaining writing feedback, I think it has the potential to be a very useful tool. And I think a lot of people are really quite unfair when it comes to AI and consider it to be, dumbing down and ruining the process of writing somehow, and causing work to come across as inauthentic and uh, not well crafted. But yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think it's here to stay. I think it has a hell of a lot of useful applications. I think it's very, very good at spotting certain inconsistencies and errors, and it does provide really rather insightful feedback very often, and tells you where your work needs to be worked on. But I mean, it's not always consistent as well, and it does sometimes say something is unpublishable at a later date than when it said it was absolutely publishable the first time. And it doesn't pick up on every grammatical mistake. You still have to read your own work. You still have to do the proofreading and editing yourself as a writer. And I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon. So it's a mixed bag when it comes to AI. It'll give you a good overview of where you're going right and where you're going wrong in your writing, but I don't think it's quite a replacement for the intuitions of writers and editors and for deep critical analysis of text. And it has a long way to go. But yes, it's quite a useful tool.